trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets. WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening, as we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch.
Welcome back, viewers. You're watching Beyond World is One. This is World DNA, the show that gets you ahead of the rest. I'm Chandra.
And I'm Diksha Bisla, and coming up on the show today, Immigration and Customs Enforcement Acting Director Todd Lyons has been summoned to court and threatened with contempt in Minnesota. The Minnesota federal judge has alleged the deportation chief had denied the legal orders. We're going to bring you all the latest details on that front. Stay tuned.
Also on World DNA, the remains of the last Israeli hostage in Gaza has returned home, and with that, the clock at Tel Aviv's hostages square finally went dark after 843 days, 12 hours, 6 minutes. Meanwhile, the Rafah border crossing is expected to reopen soon, and focus is now shifting to the next phase of the implementation of the Gaza ceasefire plan. We'll unpack all of that for you. Let's start with the headlines first. This is World DNA.
We're going to de-escalate a little bit, but I will tell you, Bavino is very good, but he's a pretty out there kind of a guy, and in some cases that's good. Maybe it wasn't good here.
Donald Trump says he would de-escalate a little in Minneapolis after fatal shooting of 2 civilians fueled storm of criticism over immigration crackdown. Admits Gregory Bovino's presence may have worsened tensions.
If we lose the midterms, you'll lose so many of the things and it would lead to very bad things. We got to win the midterms.
You heard him. Donald Trump says a victory of the Democratic Party in the midterms would lead to very bad things as he kicks off the campaign for the November election, emphasizing the need to win both the Senate and the House.
Russian forces killed at least 12 people and injured dozens in attacks across Ukraine, including drone strikes on a passenger train in which 5 people died. Zelensky says the latest strikes undermine peace efforts.
Iran's president hits out at the US threats in a call with Saudi Crown Prince, warning that they will only lead to regional instability as Washington deploys an aircraft carrier strike group to West Asian waters.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu vows he would not allow establishment of a Palestinian state in the Gaza Strip, asserting that Israel would maintain security control from Jordan to the sea.
A boat carrying 25 French tourists capsizes off the coast of Oman, killing 3 and injuring 2. Authorities investigate the incident. French Foreign Ministry expresses sorrow over the deaths.
UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer begins 3-day visit to China, marking first UK Prime Minister visit since 2018. Defending Britain's ties with the country after years of fraught relations, will also stop in Japan to meet Prime Minister Takaichi.
Kim Jong-un says North Korea will announce its next steps in strengthening its nuclear arsenal at the upcoming ruling party Congress with focus on nuclear deterrence. It makes remarks while overseeing ballistic missile tests.
US consumer confidence falls sharply in January to its lowest since 2014. As inflation, high living costs, weak income growth and job concerns weighed on households. Economists warn the slump could curb spending, threatening the main engine of US economic growth.
Ecuador says an ICE agent attempted to forcibly enter the country's foreign ministry consulate in Minneapolis.
Well, this has triggered a diplomatic row, and all of this comes as US Senate summoned the chiefs of 3 core US immigration agencies to testify, as federal operations in Minneapolis and beyond face intense scrutiny.
2 US citizens, Alex Pretty, Renee Nicole Good, both 37 years old, they've been shot and killed by federal agents in Minneapolis within the course of a month. Good was fatally shot by an immigration officer in early January, while Pretty was killed after being stopped by border agents this past weekend. Death reignited local protests and public outcry across the country and led to criticism from lawmakers in both parties.
Now, amid the backlash, President Donald Trump said his administration is going to de-escalate a little bit in Minnesota. Trump called the death of Pretty an unfortunate incident, but added that he should not have been carrying a gun. When asked by reporters about whether he agreed with the characterization of Pretty as a domestic terrorist, Trump said, "I haven't heard that."
Well, I haven't heard that, but certainly he shouldn't have been carrying a gun. But hey, look, bottom line, everybody in this room, we view that as a very unfortunate incident. Okay? Everyone, unless you're a stupid person, very, very unfortunate incident. I don't like that he had a gun. I don't like that he had 2 fully loaded magazines. That's a lot of bad stuff. And despite that, I say that's a very unfortunate.
Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem said Pretty was shot because he was brandishing a gun during a confrontation. But local authorities said that the gun was legally registered and that Pretty was shot after the firearm was removed.
A Customs and Border Protection official told Congress that 2 federal officers fired their weapons in the encounter that killed Alex Pretty. According to the information sent to Congress, an official alleged that Pretty resisted officers as they tried to take him into custody, and that amid a struggle, a Border Patrol agent yelled, "He's got a gun," several times. However, eyewitness and local officials have challenged the account, saying he had a phone in his hand, not a weapon.
In an interview, the US President also admitted that the presence of Gregory Bovino, his Border Patrol commander, may not have helped the situation. Trump has now sent his border czar Tom Homan to Minnesota. In Minneapolis, protesters celebrated the departure of Bovino. He will leave Minnesota along with some of the agents deployed with him and return to his former post in California.
This will strike
Minneapolis.
What do we want?
Ice out.
When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Ice out.
When do we want it?
Now.
Bye bye Bovino. Bye bye Bovino. Bye bye Bovino. Abolish ICE! Abolish ICE!
Abolish ICE. Abolish ICE.
Meanwhile, the heads of Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, Customs and Border Protection and US Citizenship and Immigration Services will appear before Senate's powerful Homeland Security Committee on February 12th. We have some breaking news coming in from Minneapolis. US Representative Ilhan Omar was sprayed with an unidentified substance while speaking at a town hall.
A man approached Omar, sprayed an unidentified liquid in her direction and shouted at her before being tackled by security. Now in the visual, you can see Omar had just started speaking when a man sprayed her from the front row itself. Omar insisted on continuing the town hall despite the incident. Omar was not injured, and authorities have not said what substance was sprayed or whether charges have been filed.
These fucking assholes are not going to get it. We need to go get checked.
I don't know.
Oh my God. Oh my God, he sprayed something on her.
I need a napkin to know nothing.
It's not about him, it's about your safety. No, he sprayed something on you. You need to go get checked. Yeah, and it smells terrible. It's really bad.
For our viewers who are just joining us, this is the latest we're getting in from Minneapolis, where U.S. Representative Ilhan Omar was sprayed with an unidentified substance while speaking at a town hall. Well, a man approached Omar, sprayed an unidentified liquid in her direction and shouted at her before being tackled by security.
She had just started speaking when the man sprayed her from the front row itself. It seems he was sitting there prepared to do what he eventually did. What was sprayed in her direction? Well, that liquid is not identified yet. Investigations are on. Omar was not injured. That's what we know so far, and authorities have not said or given more details about the substance that was used. Omar insisted on continuing the town hall despite the incident.
It is important for me to continue to lead. And like I said, if she does not resign, we are going to introduce articles of impeachment. Here is the reality that people like this ugly man don't understand. We are...
The US President Donald Trump has threatened Iran with one of the largest naval armadas ever assembled near its shores.
And this while insisting that diplomacy remains a viable option. As Iran wants an all-out war, it proxies, Hezbollah and Houthis are now warning America against any military move. Here's a report.
Tension in West Asia is entering a dangerous new phase. Fear of a possible US military strike on Iran is intensifying. US President Donald Trump says the situation with Iran remains in flux. He has deployed one of the largest naval armadas that ever assembled near Iranian shores. Trump claims the naval buildup is even bigger than around Venezuela. The centerpiece of the buildup is the USS Abraham Lincoln aircraft carrier strike group, which is currently operating in the West Asia. This dramatically boosts American firepower in the region. Additionally, F-15 and F-35 fighter jets, refueling tankers, and air defense systems have also been deployed. Though Trump has backed away from any military action against Tehran, the White House insists all options are on the table. Iran has sharpened its stance, vowing comprehensive and regret-inducing response to any aggression.
The movement of a warship will not affect Iran's will or determination. We possess both the resolve and the full capability to defend Iran.
Backing Iran in its hour of crisis are its proxy groups in the region. Hezbollah and the Houthis both are now warning America against any military move. Lebanon's Hezbollah organized a massive solidarity rally in Beirut to voice its support for Iran's Supreme Leader Khamenei. The military group warns any miscalculation can trigger wider regional escalation.
The current situation facing Iran will indeed affect Lebanon. If anything happens to Iran, we must stand by its side and respond to Israel and the United States. Lebanon will certainly be affected as Iran is our brother, and we must always stand together.
Yemen's Iranian-backed Houthi rebels threaten new attacks on ships traveling through the Red Sea corridor. Now, after the Saudis, UAE has also made it clear to the Trump administration that neither its land nor airspace can be used for an attack on Iran. Nuclear-powered warship, fighter jets, stealth bombers are all on standby, waiting for one signal from Trump. On the other side, Iranian military is on high alert. The vast arsenal of missiles and drones are ready to unleash a firestorm. Trump now says that Iran is willing to talk. Beyond the military moves and high-decibel rhetoric, hopes now hinge on back-channel diplomacy to defuse the situation. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
The US military has also launched a large-scale air exercise in West Asia to demonstrate rapid combat readiness.
This is amid escalating tensions with Iran. For more on this, our correspondent, my colleague Susan, gets us more details from New York.
The U.S. Central Command says that it is launching a multi-day exercise to show that it can quickly move, spread out, and sustain combat air power across the Middle East region. The goal here is flexibility, getting aircraft and carriers in place fast, operating from multiple locations instead of one big base, and working with regional partners in case a crisis breaks out. Now, CENTCOM hasn't shared the exact timing or location or which assets are involved, but this is happening as the USS Abraham Lincoln Carrier Strike Group arrives in the region and as tensions with Iran continue to rise. So what is next? Well, this goes beyond routine training, according to experts. It's a clear signal that the U.S. can project power quickly, stay operational under pressure, and respond fast if the situation escalates, while still keeping diplomatic options open, at least with Iran. Susan Tehrani reporting from New York for WION World is One.
The fragile ceasefire in Gaza is at a significant crossroads. The remains of the last Israeli hostage in Gaza has, of course, returned home now.
And the vital Rafah border crossing is expected to reopen soon. The focus is now shifted to the implementing of the next phase.
On Monday, Israeli forces brought back the remains of the last captive, Ran Gvili, and with that, the clock in Tel Aviv's hostages square went dark at last. After 843 days, 12 hours and 6 minutes, it recorded every second that the captives remain in Gaza under captivity.
October 7th, the longest day of our lives, is over. This hour here in the square, which counted seconds, minutes, hours, days, and 2 years of fear and worry, powerfully reminds us that every second in hell is eternity. This clock has now stopped.
Well, the return of Gvili's remains meet Israel's final condition for reopening of Rafah corridor. The Rafah crossing between Gaza and Egypt is the Palestinian territory's only gateway to the outside world that does not lead to Israel. It is a key entry point for both people and goods.
We are waiting for the crossing and for God's mercy. We hope the crossing will open for the injured and sick. Here we are, lying in the street with no medicine, no doctors, nothing. We are in the street, waiting for the crossing to open.
Israel has said that it would only allow pedestrians to travel through the crossing as part of its limited reopening.
Rafah will be open both directions. The numbers are, I don't remember the exact number, 50 plus family members. I think coming in, coming out, more or less, more if people want to leave. We are not going to prevent anyone from leaving.
Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has said that Israel would now shift focus to disarming Hamas and demilitarizing Gaza. He said that no reconstruction work would take place in Gaza until those two missions were accomplished. Netanyahu also vowed to block the establishment of a Palestinian state in Gaza, insisting that Israel would maintain security control over both it and the occupied West Bank.
I also hear now the statements that we will allow the rehabilitation of Gaza before disarmament. That will not happen. I hear that we will bring in Turkish and Qatari soldiers to Gaza. That will not happen either. I hear that I will allow the establishment of a Palestinian state in Gaza. That did not happen, and it will not happen.
Under the ceasefire, the day-to-day governance of Gaza is to be handed to a Palestinian technocratic body with US oversight. Hamas says that it is ready to hand over governance to the 15-member National Committee for the Administration of Gaza and its chair, Ali Shaf. But a report now suggests that Hamas is in fact seeking to incorporate its own 10,000 police officers into the new administration. Israel is of course likely to oppose any such move. Israel considers both the military wing of Hamas and its police and internal security forces all as terrorists.
Storm Chandra hit the UK and Ireland, bringing destructive winds, heavy rain and widespread flooding.
The storm is the third to hit the British Isles this year itself after Goretti and Ingrid, which brought significant damage and disruption along with them. Gusts topping 80 miles per hour knocked out power to tens of thousands of homes, closed more than 300 schools and even forced cancellations of flights, ferries and trains. In and around Devon in England, cars and homes were submerged by floodwaters when the River Axe broke its banks. A severe flood warning has been issued in the area.
As you can see, it's flooded. It's up to my waist with water. All my furniture's down, all in my kitchen, can't get downstairs. And yeah, so I've had to climb out the window.
Storm Chandra brought severe flooding to the town of Topshire, with residents using buckets and sandbags against rising river levels.
While in Dawlish, powerful waves crashed onto train tracks and broke coastal walls, highlighting the storm's destructive impact along England's southwest coast. National Rail has warned passengers that severe weather could disrupt journeys across England, Scotland and Wales until Friday. As of Tuesday evening, there were hundreds of flood warnings in place across the UK, including 95 in England.
In Northern Ireland, heavy rains and powerful winds from Storm Chandra continue to batter the region. This has caused widespread disruption, flight cancellations, closure of schools and severe flooding. Cars were partly submerged in Armagh as flood warnings lined the roads. While in Ballymena, rugby pitches disappeared under rising waters. Rivers burst their banks in Antrim and Rochelle, inundating playgrounds and car parks. While in Moira, traffic pushed through deep floodwaters as diggers worked to clear roads under police supervision.
Ireland was also hit hard by Storm Chandra. The storm brought strong winds, heavy rains, and the Electricity Supply Board reported around 20,000 homes, farms and businesses were without power. Several roads and schools were also closed, while public transport services were disrupted. As per reports, Belfast's Lanyon Place rail station, it was shut due to the conditions, and Irish Rail suspended services between Enniscorthy and Wexford.
I've been on the middle of the road since 7 a.m. this morning, stopping traffic this way and this way, because if the traffic was coming through, the waves were coming into the house. And it progressively got worse. There was no sandbags in the place. The Wexford County Council told us the guards couldn't help us, the Wexford County Council couldn't help us at that time, until that man there, who's from the Wexford County, came with sandbags.
Well, a thick rainforest, towering trees, dense ferns, swampy ground and not a single glacier inside. Imagine that sight. Here's the twist though, this rainforest did not exist in the tropics.
It in fact existed in Antarctica, which is the coldest, most hostile continent on Earth today, which was once warm, wet and very much alive. Scientists now say that around 90 million years ago, during the age of dinosaurs, Antarctica sat under a temperate rainforest less than 1,000 kilometers from the South Pole. A major scientific study analyzed fossil soil, roots, pollen and spores extracted from deep beneath the seafloor near West Antarctica. What they found was staggering. These soil layers were once part of a living forest floor. Fossilized roots show a dense web of vegetation. Pollen and spores point to conifers, ferns and even flowering plants. In short, this was not a barren landscape. This was a complex, thriving ecosystem.
Scientists estimate that the average annual temperature near the South Pole was around 12 degrees Celsius. Summer temperatures may have even climbed to 19 or 20 degrees, similar to what we see today in parts of Wales. And all of this happened during long polar nights, months of darkness each year when the sun barely rose above the horizon.
So, what made this possible? Well, the answer lies in Earth's ancient atmosphere. This period is known as the Cretaceous greenhouse, the warmest climate phase the planet has seen in the last 140 million years. Carbon dioxide levels were far higher than today. There were no massive ice sheets. It was trapped more effectively in the atmosphere. And the result was even the poles were warm enough for forests to flourish.
Modern Antarctica is locked under kilometers of ice. Temperatures plunge far below freezing, and carbon dioxide levels, while rising rapidly, are still much lower than they were back then. Scientists say the ancient rainforest looked similar to modern temperate forests in New Zealand, wet, swampy and bursting with life. This lost forest is a powerful reminder of how sensitive Earth's climate system really is.
And with that, it's time for us to slip into a very short break on World DNA.
Don't go anywhere. Coming up on the other side, we bring you more reports. The UK Prime Minister is heading to China, and this marks the first visit by a UK Prime Minister to China in 8 years. We'll bring you the latest on that.
Also coming up, Indian singer and songwriter Arijit Singh has announced his decision to retire, leaving many of his fans heartbroken. All this and more coming up on the other side of World DNA. Stay tuned. You're watching Beyond World is One.
Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh. To some, it's an extreme ideology. To others, it's the very soul of India. To some, it's rebellion. To others, it's a principle of nation building. Coming soon to challenge perceptions in RS's centenary year, Kesariya at 100.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening. As we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch. WION, India's global voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide, because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION, World is One.
Where darkness hides behind every corner. Where the truth is stranger than fiction. A show that dives deep into the stories which shock and mystify. Unsolved murders. Psychopaths who defy explanation. International war crimes. And millions swindled in financial fraud. The victims, the accused, and the sinister plot. Prime Crime is your front row seat to darkness.
Vielleicht nur auf dem Posten.
Welcome back, viewers. You're watching World DNA with Deeksha. I'm Shivan. Lots more to discuss on this side of the show. Thanks so much for staying with us. Let's start with the headlines.
US Democratic Congresswoman Ilhan Omar targeted during a speech by a man in Minneapolis who sprayed an unidentified liquid at her from a syringe before being tackled by security guards.
Donald Trump says people shouldn't go to protests carrying guns, commenting on the fatal shooting of the licensed gun owner Alex Pretty by federal agents in Minneapolis.
Russian forces kill at least 12 people and injure dozens in attacks across Ukraine, including drone strikes on a passenger train in which 5 people died. Zelensky says the latest strikes undermine peace efforts.
Iran's president hits out at US threats in a call with Saudi Crown Prince, warning that they will only lead to regional instability as Washington deploys an aircraft carrier strike group to West Asian waters.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu vows he would not allow establishment of a Palestinian state in the Gaza Strip, asserting that Israel would maintain security control from Jordan to the sea.
Trump threatens to cut all US support for Iraq if former Prime Minister Nouri al-Maliki, who has ties to Iran, returns to power, criticized Maliki's previous tenure as causing chaos and poverty.
Kim Jong-un says North Korea will announce its next steps in strengthening its nuclear arsenal at the upcoming ruling party Congress, with focus on nuclear deterrent, makes remarks while overseeing ballistic missile tests.
Mexico's exports rose 7.6% in 2025 to nearly $665 billion, driven by manufacturing despite US tariffs on autos, steel and aluminium. Imports grew more, yielding a $771 million surplus, while Mexico raised tariffs on Chinese and other non-FTA goods.
Iga Swiatek's wait for a career Grand Slam continues. 2022 Wimbledon champion Elena Rybakina beat the world number 2 in straight sets to reach the Australian Open semi-finals. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer is heading to China, marking the first time his first visit to the country by a British leader in 8 years.
Well, the trip comes as part of a bid to mend strained ties with China and reduce UK's dependence on the United States. Starmer is accompanied by Business Secretary Peter Kyle and dozens of corporate leaders. During the 3-day visit, Starmer is expected to meet Chinese President Xi Jinping and Premier Li Qiang in Beijing. He will then travel to Shanghai before making a brief stop in Japan.
Now, the UK is seeking Chinese technology and investment, as well as greater access to China for UK financial services, cars and Scotch whisky. Both UK and China are looking to stabilize ties with a focus on trade and cooperation on global issues such as climate change.
Notably, the visit also comes days after Starmer's government approved plans for China's mega embassy in central London. Starmer has rejected objections and warnings that the embassy could facilitate espionage activities. Starmer has said that even as China poses national security threats to Britain, closer business ties with Beijing were in national interest.
Now, analysts say that while the United States may play a role in shaping the trip, both Beijing and London are expected to focus on a broad range of bilateral issues.
Since Starmer's election in 2024, the Labour leader has made resetting relations with China a key priority, following a deterioration in ties under previous governments.
This is a significant trip. It's the first visit by British Prime Minister to China since 2018. And it's an attempt by Starmer to put relations on a more even keel after a decade in which they went from a brief golden era, proclaimed by David Cameron when he was Prime Minister in 2015, to a deep chill as issues such as China's human rights record, its support for Russia in its war in Ukraine, the future of Taiwan, and claims about Chinese espionage in the UK have caused a real rift between the two countries.
Taiwan is turning up the heat with military drills at home and diplomatic outreach abroad.
Well, ahead of the Lunar New Year, Taiwan's armed forces carried out readiness exercises across land, air and coastal zones.
In the central city of Taichung, the army deployed its newly formed HIMARS unit, simulating strikes against invading forces, tanks, tactical drones, which were also used to target mock enemy positions, showcasing speed, range and rapid response. Meanwhile, in the southwestern city of Chiai, Taiwan's Air Force conducted an emergency scramble. F-16 fighter jets were readied for takeoff in just over 6 minutes, a test of how fast Taiwan can move from alert to action.
Our HIMARS unit is one of the Army's new generation long-range firepower systems. We have several key characteristics. First, the system significantly enhances artillery fire support within the operational area. Because of its longer range and wider target coverage, it enables us to provide timely support across different operational zones.
The drills come as China continues to step up military pressure around the island. But Taipei is not just flexing military muscle.
Earlier in the month, a cross-party Italian parliamentary delegation visited Taiwan, signaling Europe's deepening interest in the Indo-Pacific. The talks focused on semiconductors, AI and economic security as Taiwan cements its role at the heart of global tech supply chains. For Europe, chips are no longer just commerce, they have become strategy.
From HIMARS on the ground to F-16s in the air and trip diplomacy with Europe, Taiwan is sending a clear message. It is prepared and it is courting partners as pressure from Beijing grows. And ties between Bangladesh and India continue to sour.
The interim government in Bangladesh, led by Mohammad Yunus, has now decided to set up a defence industrial park on a land allocated for an Indian economic zone in Chattogram's Mirsarai area. In 2015, both countries signed a pact to build an Indian economic zone under this government-to-government deal. Investors from India would have got priority to invest in this economic zone. However, the interim Bangladesh government scrapped this pact.
Well, this decision was taken after Yunus chaired a meeting of a Bangladesh Economic Zones Authority's governing board. Later, BESAR Executive Chairman Ashik Chaudhry said that ammunition and basic defence equipment will be produced at the Defence Industrial Park. At present, Bangladesh only has one state-run arms manufacturing facility. Chaudhary added that the new zone will be developed by the private sector with local and foreign investment.
This comes amid Bangladesh's endeavour to boost ties with other countries at the expense of India. For instance, Bangladesh announced that China wants to commence work on the Tiesta master plan as soon as possible. This plan is being seen as a workaround to the long-stalled Tiesta water-sharing deal with India. China's envoy to Bangladesh also paid a visit to the project area, which is located close to India's Siliguri corridor.
Well, Dhaka also expressed its annoyance at India recently for allowing ex-Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina to make an audio address in New Delhi. Bangladesh's foreign ministry warned that this sets a dangerous precedent which could seriously impair bilateral relations.
The fourth edition of the India Energy Week officially kicked off in Goa on Tuesday.
Bringing together policymakers, industry leaders and innovators from across the world, all under one roof. Well, the aim is clear: to tackle the most pressing challenges facing global energy sector at a time when the transition to cleaner, more sustainable fuels is no longer optional but urgent. Organized under the patronage of the Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas and jointly hosted by the Federation of Indian Petroleum Industry, India Energy Week has returned to Goa for the second time, after the state hosted the event in 2024, and this year the focus is firmly on the future.
This time, huge emphasis has been on the critical role of green hydrogen in building a sustainable low-carbon future, signalling how seriously New Delhi is betting on emerging energy solutions. Green hydrogen mobility, in fact, continues to steal the spotlight after making headlines in the previous edition. Green hydrogen-powered buses are once again at the centre of attention this year, offering a glimpse into what clean public transport could look like in years ahead. Our correspondent, Dharamjot Kaur, spoke with the chairman of the Indian Oil Corporation, A.S. Sani. Listen to this.
We're here in Goa for India Energy Week 2026, standing inside the hydrogen bus, which probably, sir, would be one of the many things, many directions that new energy is now taking as an alternative to traditional forms of energy we've seen. As a pioneer in the industry, what are the major changes that you have seen in the past few years, and what are the major changes you're seeing here at this particular forum now?
Today, we are working more and more towards other forms of energy, the newer forms of energy, the cleaner energies. Today, we are not here to focus or refocus on my conventional forms of energy, that is oil and gas. Today, we are discussing more and more on bioenergy forms. Today, more and more we are discussing on solar and wind. And mostly, as you mentioned, we are standing inside a hydrogen-driven bus. Today, we are launching a hydrogen-driven drone, as you have seen outside, which probably will be launched just now. So, today we are discussing, but this is not a commercial thing. Today what we are trying to show is that these are the possible applications of these newer forms of energy. Today we are trying to encourage people to bring in more and more applications so that these can be developed into a good ecosystem. Today I am responsible for giving the fuel. I am putting up India's largest green hydrogen plant at Panipat of 10,000 tons per annum, which will be operational by 27th of December. A model of which is also available here at our IW store. So that is my contribution. But what I am doing all these things is for encouraging people to develop an ecosystem so that that can be used in mobility. That is my ultimate aim.
Talking about India's demography and geography and how renewable energy and alternative energy can be deployed in the country, do you think it's going to be easily accessible in the coming years?
It is a godsend opportunity for a country like India, wherein today, as India, we are spending $130 billion per year for importing crude oil. And as the energy demand of the country grows, with the kind of growth India is seeing in its GDP, we expect that another 10-15 years we will be needing twice the tonnage of energy in terms of overall energy. So if we continue to do this fossil route, then we are going to end up spending more and more money. So this is a godsend opportunity. If we can develop this ecosystem, if we can spread it out in the whole countryside. If we can have unitary level energy generation stations, this is going to be a game changer.
As India prepares its upcoming budget, a mixed macro picture sets the stage. Big private investment remains elusive, while global uncertainties and volatile risk assets shape the current environment.
Economic trade-offs remain challenging, yet consolidation of government finances is set to continue. In this next report, we look at how India will look inwards with reforms for strengthening domestic economy amidst a volatile geopolitical backdrop. Take a look.
The Indian economy is doing well, but foreign investors have been selling Indian assets at a rate not seen in years. On February 1, India will unveil its annual budget that will put the country's ability to entice investors through accelerated economic reforms to the test. The key question for investors is, will the government turn towards long-term reforms or turn to temporary stimulus as it did last year? For now, India continues to face resistance from international investors. That is, despite the country's status as the world's fastest growing major economy. A fresh push for long-term reforms have not really helped. Those reforms include modernization of labor laws and the relaxation of regulations in the financial sector. Still, foreign investors have sold a total of $22.6 billion worth of Indian stocks since January 2025. Economists argue the budget should prioritize domestic economic reforms that attract more foreign investment. Their suggestions include simplifying customs regulation, which currently make doing business in the country challenging. Economists also caution against relying too much on the sugar high of recently announced tax cuts. They say any relaxation of fiscal policy would frighten away foreign investors and speed up the sell-off. The focus of spending will likely remain on long-term infrastructure projects that generate jobs. India is not likely to look at providing a quick boost to growth, despite the government's aim for a $5 trillion economy at the earliest. A Reuters report quoting official sources showed India's goal is to increase exports threefold by 2035. The budget is expected to focus on manufacturing and implementing structural changes instead of relying on large-scale investment. According to the Reuters report, the country aims to increase yearly goods exports to $1.3 trillion, accelerate economic growth by focusing manufacturing on 15 key industries including metals, labor-intensive leather production and high-end semiconductors. The allocation is likely to show 100 billion rupees or $1 billion to build infrastructure for about 30 manufacturing hubs across the targeted sectors, provide grants of $218 million for advanced areas such as chips and energy storage. This year, financial support to industries will likely be decided case by case. The plan is to replace the pre-budget fiscal packages of earlier schemes and use focused spending to rein in fiscal deficit. Business Bureau, WION World is One.
Google is set to receive fresh guidance from European Union antitrust regulators now.
And this is on how to open up its search services and AI models to rivals. The European Commission says that the move is aimed at helping online search competitors and AI developers gain fair access to Google services under EU law.
Well, the guidance will come under the European Union's Digital Markets Act, which seeks to curb the market power of big tech firms. Rivals have long accused Google of using its dominance to gain an unfair advantage in search and artificial intelligence. Google has rejected those allegations. EU tech chief Anna Virkkunen said that the proceedings would ensure third-party search engines and AI providers enjoy the same access to search data and the Android operating system as Google's own services, including Google Search and Gemini.
The European Commission has opened to so-called specification proceedings after talks with Google on how it should comply with the law. In one, regulators will set out how Google must give rival AI services equally effective access to features which are available to its own AI models, such as Gemini. In the other, they will detail how Google should share certain search data, including anonymized rankings, query and click information, while competing search engines on fair and non-discriminatory terms.
Google said Android is open by design and that it is already licensing search data to competitors under the DMA. But it warned that further rules could compromise user privacy, security and innovation. The Commission says that it hopes to conclude the proceedings within 6 months.
And the Milano Cortina Winter Olympics organizers have confirmed that ICE agents will be present at next month's Winter Games.
And this is to provide security for US delegates, and they would not be directly involved in the organizers' security operations.
I have heard that they will be present for technical reasons only, because there are high-ranking US government officials here in Italy, but they have nothing to do with the security aspects of the Olympics. I know that this is normal, or almost normal, when presidents or vice presidents are present, or, as in this case, the US Secretary of State. That's all. Moreover, there are other countries that also have their own security measures in place, specifically to support their heads of state. So this is not a matter concerning the Olympics, but the individual person.
Well, this statement comes after reports of ICE agents being involved in the Winter Games created quite an uproar in Italy. The country's centre-left opposition protested in the Lombardy Regional Council, holding placards reading ICE out and ICE no thanks during the session. Milan Mayor, he has declared the agency is not welcome in his city.
In an interview with RTL 102.5 radio, Mayor Sala said, and I quote, "This is a militia that kills, a militia that enters people's homes signing their own permission slips. It is clear they are not welcome in Milan without a doubt. Can't we just say no to US President Trump's, for once at least?"
Well, for days 3, there have been reports that ICE, an agency linked to a hardline immigration crackdown in the United States, could be involved in US security measures for the February 6 to 2022 games in northern Italy.
Italian authorities initially denied the reports before later seeking to downplay any role for ICE, saying any involvement would be limited to supporting security for the US delegation and that all security operations would remain under Italian control. US Vice President J.D. Vance and Secretary of State Marco Rubio are scheduled to attend the opening ceremony in Milan on the 6th of February along with a host of other dignitaries. According to reports, ICE's Homeland Security Investigations, known as HSI, would support the US Department of State's Diplomatic Security Service, a standard practice when high-ranking government officials travel overseas.
While it's not known whether HSI has previously been involved in the Olympics or whether this is a first, ICE has stressed that any role in Italy would be separate from US immigration enforcement operations, which are carried out by a different division within the agency. The protection of US citizens and officials at overseas events is led by the State Department's Diplomatic Security Service, with host nation authorities retaining full control over security at the games.
Indian singer and songwriter Arijit Singh has announced his decision to retire,
leaving many of his fans heartbroken. And while the singer has clarified that he will not stop making music, Singh's post has left fans in shock. The 38-year-old singer took to social media to announce his decision. In a post shared on Instagram, Singh said that he won't be taking any new assignments as a playback vocalist.
This is what he wrote in his post. "Hello, Happy New Year to all. I want to thank you all for giving me so much love all these years as listeners. I am happy to announce that I'm not going to be taking any new assignments as a playback vocalist from now on. I am calling it off. It was a wonderful journey. quote unquote. Expressing his gratitude towards fans and well-wishers, the singer said he's calling it off, as you just read. And the singer, however, has said that he still has to finish some pending commitments.
So fans might get some releases this year. Singh, who is a playback singer, composer, music producer and instrumentalist, is one of Indian cinema's leading music icons. He is the recipient of several accolades, including 2 National Film Awards. In 2025, Singh was also conferred the Padma Shri by the Indian government. Now, for those unaware, Singh kick-started his career with a reality show in 2005.
Now, it was in 2011 that he made his Hindi cinema debut with the song Fir Mohabbat. While it remains to be seen what Singh has in store for fans going forward, his decision to step away from new assignments as a playback singer certainly left them in shock. All right, viewers, thanks so much for staying tuned with us. That's a wrap on this edition of World DNA. Short break now. Stay with us, come right back.
India's Global Voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide. Because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION. World is one.
And welcome to a brand new edition of South India, a daily dynamic show that will capture the pulse of southern states.
By blending the special stories, the breaking alerts and the culture developments as well. From the 7 days.
Where darkness hides behind every corner. Where the truth is stranger than fiction. A show that dives deep into the stories which shock and mystify. Unsolved murders. Psychopaths who defy explanation. International war crimes. And millions swindled in financial fraud. The victims, the accused, and the sinister plot. Crime is your front row seat to darkness.
Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh. To some, it's an extreme ideology. To others, it's the very soul of India. To some, it's rebellion. To others, it's a principle of nation building. Coming soon to challenge perceptions in RS's centenary year, Kesariya at 100.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening. As we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch.
And welcome to a brand new edition of South India, a daily dynamic show that will capture the pulse of southern states.
By blending the special stories, the breaking alerts and the culture developments as well. From the 7 days.